welcome to the To Live Well podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Collier. I'm here with Jamal Lewis. We're going to touch on what it takes to play football at a high level, and we're going to touch on the journey of what it took to get there.
I think it's, to play football, it takes a whole lot, but to get there, I think that's the hard part. It's a fine line. I grew up right here in Atlanta, probably 10 minutes away in Adamsville. So wasn't the best of areas, but at the same time, you had to hold your own. Brought you up real quick, just because of the competition. And, playing football was kind of a way to get out, which a lot of people wanted, but at the same time, probably didn't have the gifts to actually make that happen. But we have had a few guys come out of Adamsville to go on to the pros, to go to the next level and things of that nature. So we got a good little pedigree over there. But my brother played, football, so I kind of followed in his footsteps. I didn't really care too much for football, but like I said, my dad made me get out the house, drop me off at the rec center at Adamsville Rec Center and said, hey, this is what you need to do, and go get out there and make it happen.
I heard that you quit football the first time.
Oh yeah, the first time I was a center, and I just didn't like the fact of somebody standing behind me. But at the same time, like I said, his parents was like the usher at the church too, so that was kind of bad, just because I had to see him on Sundays too. But then I quit. I remember my mom came and picked me up from school. She was like, "You going to practice?" I was like, "Nope." And she was like, "Your dad's gonna be mad." I'm like, he's not here. He's on the road, He worked for the railroad, so he was gone. But at the same time, I sat out, came back the next year, ended up playing quarterback at another gym. And then they moved me to running back, and pretty much the rest is history after I started playing running back. I liked the position. I was instinctive. I was elusive. I was big, even though I was young for my age group or whatever. So I always played with older kids, just because of that. So I think that helped me out too. I always had good speed and everything as well. My high school coach got me in the running track or whatever, but I really didn't get into football until, probably my sophomore year. I really took it serious. One of my coaches took me to a LSU game, and I really got a chance to see what SEC football is, or football period, is all about, and that kind of sparked my interest and really got me in it. And, just really tried to work hard. My brother always told me to just outwork everybody and, do other things that other people aren't, that your team is not doing. So my dad always kept us weights and gym equipment. He would order offline, he would order, it's not online then.
Yeah.
You had to call the order. So he dialed up that 900 number or whoever, and we'll have all the gym. We had everything we needed in order to be successful. It's just using it. And I think at the end of the day, it's hard work, dedication, and sacrifice, at the end of the day. That's what I tell kids. If you're willing to put in the work and dedicate yourself to it and sacrifice, what you love most for what you really want in the future, I think, you can be successful. So that's that was my motto.
Let me ask you a question. You say there's a lot of talent in your neighborhood. Like, who didn't make it? Like, how many were better than Jamal?
Oh, a lot. It was a lot. A lot was better, but a lot got caught up in the hype, as far as what people were saying about them, and caught up in the streets. Some, from where I grew up, it's either, you playing sports or you working so you can help the family or help your parents or your mom if you got a single parent household, to help them, whatever, or mom works 2 jobs, so somebody got to watch the other kids. So, it was a battle between that, where you get guys that get washed out just because of real life situations, So yeah, that gets interesting. But that's why I say it's a fine line. Everybody's different, and everybody's life is different, and it's just, I was able to stay steady because my parents had jobs. I was in a 2-parent household, and I had that support system, behind me.
Yeah, very important. Father in the home.
Yeah.
The thing you said earlier about what SEC football is really all about, and if you don't live in the South, you don't really get it. You went to Tennessee, big school, big fan base. The question that how does it compare outside of the SEC? Like, I assume you wouldn't play at other stadiums.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just, I think SEC is all about tailgating. You're in the Southeast, you got good weather most of the year or whatever, and it's just a thing. Everybody's going out to like, I grew up here at University of Georgia, or you knew that they were having tailgates and just everything going on, and just the atmosphere, period. It's like everybody's looking forward to it. But in the Northeast or in other states or whatever, they might not be high on football. They're high on basketball, or it's so cold they're not outside,
Right.
doing the football thing. But I think that in the SEC, man, it's just a different environment. It's just strong.
So you grew up in Atlanta. Is it true you wanted to go to Georgia?
I wanted to go to Georgia because I was a big Herschel Walker fan. But kind of as I got a little older, I kind of was like, it's not really about that. It's a business decision.
Right.
But I think I would have probably went to Georgia if they would have really pressed, if they would have really recruited me, but they didn't really recruit me because they was going after another running back that was in town, that was from here. So they were stuck on him. So they really didn't value myself until after, when it was pretty much I had already committed to Tennessee.
Yeah, and that other one, what kind of NFL career did he have?
He didn't have one. He didn't have one. So that was a big misstep by Jim Dunning and his crew.
So yeah, for Bulldogs, all you Jamal haters, we ran you over. It's really all on you guys. You had that.
Yeah. But it was a business decision. Peyton was staying. He was staying for his last year. Jay Graham was a running back for Tennessee. He just left. So really, they had 2 running backs there that were pretty good, but Fulmer basically said, "Hey, look, you're gonna get a chance to compete. You're gonna get a chance to compete for the starting position." So I'll take that all day long because I feel like you give me an opportunity to compete. I know what I can do. I know what I'm about, and I just had to go and improve myself.
That's great. Good word. So the Tennessee worked well for you, obviously.
Yep, won a natty. Got a natty there.
Got a natty.
I got injured that year in the fourth or 5th game of the season against Ole Miss, which that was my first experience with adversity and dealing with adversity and when it hits and what you got to do. And luckily I had a praying mom, and just because, it's just mentally, it was like, what are you going to do? This is all you do. This is what you're living for, and this, that, and the other. So mentally I had to be strong and put myself in a whole different mindset of, you're not going through season, but at the same time, you are going through a season of rehab. So
Right.
I became a good rehab specialist. I can tell you that.
That sound you might hear on the podcast, that is Blue over there snoring a little bit. You falling asleep on us, dog? He wants that meatball.
He said I'm boring.
The thing that I find interesting when talking to somebody that made it and then went on to the next level is the adversity of the next level and what it took to get there. I mean, we all know people growing up, they had all the talent in the world, but
they get washed out.
Life got in the way.
Yeah, life got in the way. But going to the pros and being drafted, like I said, I did deal with adversity, getting injured. I played 25 games in college. I had a choice to go to the NFL early as a junior, and I did that. But, like I said earlier, it took sacrifice. I spent 90 days down in Boca Raton, Florida, at Chris Carter's FAST program at the time. He had a training facility down there. It's where I met Tony Villani, who I trained with pretty much most of my career, as far as speed and agility and stuff like that, just to get away. Basically went down there, man, and just kind of hung up everything, forgot about everybody, and just focused on myself and what I needed to do to put the best product on the field during combine and pro day.
Currently, you're working with young athletes that want to go to the next level with your showcase.
Yeah.
That's the hat, folks. Look for that logo. That's kind of what you tell them as well, coming out of high school, going to college.
Yeah,
because coming out, give it 90 days.
Yeah, give it 90 days, or honestly, you got to focus on, like what we said, putting the best product on the field. And the best product is you, So therefore, in order to make that happen, you need to be mentally, physically, spiritually ready to go, to make that happen. And that's what we try to tell the kids and put into the kids is, hey, you want to go play 7-on-7, you want to go play in something that's just going to give you some social media highlights. But at the same time, what coaches really look at is the game film, stuff like that. So you need to be training. You need to be going to work on your, sharpen your blade, so you can get ready to go and make things happen, right, for the season. But a lot of guys get caught up in the hype. They get caught up in, I need to go to this camp. I need to go to this place. I need to go to this place. But you're going to all these places and you're not putting the best product on the field because you're not even ready. So I think that, that's a lot of pressure. And that's what we try to tell these parents and tell these kids at Showcase is, this is what we're developing the kid for is to basically put the best product on the field and what you need to do to actually get there.
You guys had an event a couple weeks back. I went checked it out, and I saw a lot of talent on the field.
Yeah.
And that's, just a small amount of the population of kids across the country that are going to college. There's thousands of colleges.
Right.
And of the thousands of colleges, it's still only 32 teams in the NFL with 53-man rosters. So
Yeah.
the amount of kids that can actually make it.
Well, now, nowadays, as long as there's scholarships available, kids are going to be interested in playing ball.
Well, with NIL money, it's not even scholarship, it's payday.
Yeah. But at the same time, you got to think about it. We had 100 kids out there and probably 6, 7 of them were 3 to 5-star kids.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still talented kids, just trying to get that exposure, trying to get that ranking and this, that, and the other. And the reason why we did an invite-only camp, because the coaches that we had on board, Coach Third, Coach Quincy Carter, Coach Stroh, they train kids. They have training businesses where they train wide receivers, DBs, quarterbacks. So what I wanted to do was expose some of those kids that's putting in that work. They're putting in the work. They're working on their skills. They're working on this stuff. They're just not out here in 7-on-7 or trying to get to a camp, whatever. They're working every weekend, every week. They're working, getting extra work. So I really wanted to showcase that and put them in the spotlight to let them showcase really what they got, and hopefully they'll get some rankings. Maybe hopefully they'll get a view from somebody. We had Rusty Mansell out there. We had Alex Benson with Born to Compete, so they could write on these guys and talk about these guys and really get them that exposure that they need. Because, it's different now with the transfer portal, NIL and everything else. These coaches, they're going to other colleges. They're going to kids that's already got experience. So when you come out of high school, you got to be ready. You got to be ready. You don't have time to get ready. You have to be ready by the time you come out of high school if you really want to go to a D1 school or go to a college and play or even have that opportunity to play right then. You have to do that. You have to be ready. If not, you might as well just go to a smaller school, go get you some work, get some film, and this and other, and get ready so that you can jump in the transfer portal in a year or two and get that experience. And that's what a lot of these coaches are looking at now over high school kids because they're trying to win a championship right now. They don't have time to build for a championship. They got to win it right now. Mm-hmm. So when you come out of high school, you got to be ready to go. Mm-hmm. So By the time you're a junior, you need to be stacked and ready to go, weight-wise, build-wise, technique-wise, you got to have that. So my son, like I was saying, my son has 3 trainers. You got a weightlifting guy, you got a speed and agility guy, and then you got a position-specific skill guy. Like, he not even in the damn NFL. I didn't even have that until I got to the NFL,
Right.
So you got to hone up on that if you want to go and get those dollars as a freshman in college or even as a senior in high school now. So it's a lot of pressure on these kids these days, not just rankings, not just to get a scholarship, but now they threw money into the equation. So it's a lot of pressure that these kids deal with.
So your son is a player?
Yeah, he's a good player. He did his thing, freshman year, sophomore year, got a few offers to some schools and putting in the work or whatever. We transferred to Milton High School in January, a lot better program, just a lot more structure, and he loves it, and it's, got a lot better players all around. I think they had probably 80, 90 coaches come up there when recruiting started, you know what I mean? Like at the beginning of January, February, like, so it's that exposure and being around it, that kind of helps.
Does he know what it takes?
I think he knows what it takes just from hearing it from me. I kind of, made him kind of dedicate himself to it because he wanted to do it. So, if you want to do something, you got to show me that you're ready to do it. And that means, doing things outside of what I asked you to do or what the coaches asked you to do or what the team is doing or whatever. I shouldn't have to wake you up to go train.
Right.
I shouldn't have to set up your training appointments. You should be setting that up. You should be putting that on your calendar. You should know what you got to do for the weekend before you plan to go out with your buddies.
You should have your diet all ready or your food prep going.
All of that. He's still a kid. You want him to still be a kid, but at the same time, look, you know what it takes. You know what we got to do. You got to eat. You can't be just eating junk, you got to get your protein, trying to put on muscle. We have a plan going into every off season, every season. We got a plan. So you know what the plan is. So just stick with it, and that's hopefully to be injury free, and really doing the recovery parts of it outside of just the training side.
Yeah, I hadn't seen your son in a while. I saw him at that showcase. He looked good. And when I first met your son, probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago.
We went fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
we didn't really go fish.
Yeah. I don't know if we caught anything.
We was in the at the sandbar.
Yeah. The killer instinct, he was just a young kid. But I guess once the testosterone kicks in, they start becoming a man. That's when.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, going down to Florida, we get a chance to get around a lot of pro players and a lot of college players that are, going in and stuff like that. So getting them around that, that kind of helps. And then also, just getting them competing, in some one-on-ones and things like that when we're training. That's one of the reasons why we did that showcase, because it's different when you're just training against air, when you're just out there running routes. But when you put somebody in front of you that's kicking your ass, or that's in your face or whatever, like, it really helps bring that out, and that's where that competitive spirit comes from. And honestly, you talk with your feet and hands, you know what I'm saying? And that's kind of where I am with them, when they want to dance and want to make a catch or score a touchdown and do the gritty and all this stuff. That's cool, but let's be humble and hungry, and let's talk with our hands and our feet. That's where he's at. But
So showcase, where can people see it? Where can they find it?
Showcasebrands.com, SHOCASE brands.com, and at Showcase Brands on Instagram and Twitter. But it all started by a product and about NIL and things of that nature, because that's just where everything's going. So just develop a product, a shoe bag that the kids can put the cleats in, put the gear in, travel less, travel light. Really just that athlete just about training and grinding in doing that. You know, it's not a team bag. It's not a bag to put all your stuff in, but at the same time, you know, carry what's most valuable, which is your cleats, your shoes, your gloves, your accessories, things of that nature, you know, so you can go put in some work. But we're doing some deals with like UGA and Tennessee and some universities and stuff for NIL and things of that nature. And just trying to get the brand out there and just be the kids' brand for, you know, youth sports.
Yeah, I like the logo.
Appreciate it.
It's
the winner's circle.
Oh, well, there you go. Didn't hear that before. So the winner's circle has a rectangle in there. We're in this space here, which is at ATL Livewell here in Atlanta, Georgia, right next to the Braves Battery, home of the World Series winning Braves. I was really kind of intrigued about your story, and I don't know if it's one you want to touch on this segment or not. The people want to know. The people want to know what happened. Why was Jamal the number one running back in the league at one point, and then not? What happened?
What happened? Which stage?
Well, I guess if we're gonna go stages, we could just start with the phone call.
Oh, okay.
And you start with the phone call, and then you go in reverse as to how the phone call sort of took place. Kind of touch on the idea of what preempted the phone call. So, the phone call, you just finished a 2,000-yard season. You are the MVP. You have probably the high of your life.
Oh, yeah, big time.
And you're on your way to the Pro Bowl because the Ravens were not going to the Super Bowl because you had lost your quarterback that year.
Yeah. Good year, great year. But then 2 weeks after the Pro Bowl, there, you know, I think what haunted me for so long, because this all started, you know, before my rookie season. So this all started before the draft, you know, really. So they didn't even indict me until 4 years later before statute of limitation. So really, you know, just where it started, you know, I am writing the book, still running. So all of this information is in there, even more. But what I would share without just going too far and bore you, but is that it all started with a phone call from my marketing agent about this girl who wanted to introduce me to Michael Vick, because he was talking about leaving school early. So he wanted to talk to me about leaving school early. So cool, no problem. I was at the rookie premiere at the time in Orlando. I said, I'll be back in a couple of days. We can get together. So when I ended up meeting with her, you know, we talked about Michael Vick, talked about her relationship, this and another with him, and how she knew him and how she knew his mom and all that stuff. She was a real jibber jabber talker. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I said, cool, no problem, just whenever, set it up. But at the time, I was looking for my mom a house at the time, you know, this, that, and the other. So I was like, you know, I'm ride around and go see some places. So she was like, cool, you know, I'll ride with you or whatever, you know, if you don't mind. So did that. And long story short, one day, you know, she asked me about some drugs. And I was like, nah, I don't know nobody, right? I don't know nobody that wanted that, you know, whatever. And that was that. Left it alone, you know, left it alone. And being where I'm from, it wasn't a red flag or a bad thing for somebody to ask you about drugs.
Right.
Whether you had it, whether you knew where to get it, whether you knew somebody, whatever.
You know what I mean? Sort of common.
Yeah, it was common, you know, so therefore it was like, okay, cool. But then, you know, she came back again and asked me. And to throw her off, I was like, all right. I said, all right, I'll let you know. I said, I'll let you know, left it at that. But she was adamant about it and just pushing it, you know, whatever. And that kind of made me, and one of my boys that I knew, I said, hey, you know, talk to this girl. Let me know what you think. And he told me, he said, leave her alone. He said, leave her alone. And I was like, really? And shit, just as sure as that, I left her alone. I left her alone. That doesn't mean she didn't still call me. That don't mean she didn't reach out or whatever. I was still cordial. I was just, you know.
Right.
I just didn't just go cold turkey because my guy said that or whatever. But it just ended up, kind of dragging along. I remember one day, me and a friend of mine, we was going to a gentleman's club, and we were stopping to get something to eat. So we stopped at Houston's. She calls me, says, "Hey, what's up? What you doing? What you got going on?" I said, "Oh, me and my boy about to go to Houston's. Stop by," because she lived over there. So I said, "Stop by. You want to grab something to eat?" And she stopped by. Long story short, what happened when they say the meeting, like in my case, the meeting, that was the meeting, which really wasn't a meeting. It was, I told her to stop by, grab something to eat with us because we was going on somewhere else after. And I can remember sitting there and the lady, some guy came up to the table like, "Hey, you Jamal Lewis, right? Can I take a picture of you guys?" That was undercover that was taking a picture of us to frame it that we were there having a meeting. And I guess the meeting was supposed to be about drugs. That's what the meeting was supposed to be about. Pretty much after that.
Did you not think it was a little weird that somebody came through with a camera and snapped the picture out of the blue?
No, I did. I was 2,000. I mean, at the time, I was just got drafted, 5th pick in the draft, this, that, and the other, from Atlanta, whatever. So wasn't odd. You know what I mean?
But there weren't cell phones. They had a camera.
Yeah, people carried cameras. I didn't think about it, whatever. I guess after, I guess my buddy, he ended up talking to her or whatever, and then of course she went and approached him, and it just kind of made it look all suspicious, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. Like, like it was an introduction or whatever, but I have no control over my friends when we get together and they get numbers or whatever. They might be trying to do something else,
Right.
or whatever. But anyway, I just recall being I was either in camp, I was in some kind of camp, OTAs or something. And my buddy called me and was like, "Hey man, they just locked up old boy." And I'm like, "For what?" He was like, "For messing with an old girl." So I'm like, "What? Why? How? How did this even?" Because I was training, I was getting ready for the season and stuff. So I damn sure wasn't worried about that. And then just so happened, they had him locked up, and supposedly he was meeting her to look at some drugs or exchange some money for drugs. But there was no drugs, there was no money, nothing involved at that time, So really they just locked him up because of conversation, because she was recording everything that was going on, calls and all kind of stuff. She was recording that. And then found out that later after I listening to Discovery and stuff like that,
Was she a Fed or was she?
She was just an informant.
Was she in trouble?
She was already in trouble. She was already in trouble. He ended up getting out, but he was just telling me how they were just, the Fed was like just asking him, interrogating him, Jamal's out there in his Bentley and you're in here, give us something on him, give us something on him. They were so adamant about getting something on me, but he really had nothing to give him because I didn't have anything to do with anything. I didn't have anything to do with his conversations with this girl. I didn't have anything to do with none of that. So he couldn't, if he did, it would just had to lie. But he didn't lie and he didn't say anything, and he ended up getting out. Now, once he got out, that's when he let me know everything and what had happened and this, that, and the other. And then it was done with until right before statute of limitation. And Mike Brown, who's federal judge Mike Brown now, he was the prosecutor, and he was the one that basically pulled my file because it was going in the statute of limitation, and told personnel, "Get me everything you can on this." And that was after my 2,000-yard season, and that's when 2 weeks after Pro Bowl, they indicted me and my boy on conspiracy with intent, to distribute cocaine. And that was the charge at first. It didn't end up being a phone count until after we went back about entrapment because after she asked me the first time and I told her no, she wasn't supposed to ask me anything else about no drugs. So we was going to have an entrapment case, and that's when the government basically came up with a plea, just so they could save face of the government because they knew I really didn't have anything to do with this. And the recording, get this one, the recording, that was the phone count. I got a chance to hear it. There's 30 minutes of a conversation, and I'm not on any of the other recording because she said that she put the microphone on wrong, and she put it on, I guess, the mouth part where she's just talking, and not the ear part where it can hear me talking. And I'm not on any of this conversation. I don't even remember being on any of this call. But that's the call that I went to jail for, a call that I wasn't even on. So you got a case with no drugs, no money, and a phone count of a call that I was never on, that this con artist, this girl, basically said that I was on. And that's what I went to jail for.
The phone call that didn't happen necessitated another phone call after 2,000 yards, and they were saying you're getting indicted.
Yeah.
That you opened the pinnacle to the pooper.
Oh, man, nothing. Everything gone. Everything.
Endorsements.
Endorsements.
What was coming?
Well, I just went and met with a sports authority at the time.
Sports authority. They're a big.
You know, I was with Reebok or whatever, so that was going to be good. And just others that was forming up that, because of course we waited to after the Pro Bowl to start setting up meetings and stuff like that. And it was just, my agent was just lining stuff up, man. And new contract, you know, going after new contract negotiations. Because I think that might have been year 4 of my, and I had a 6-year deal. So it was like,
if you had to quantify it, how much money did you lose?
I don't know, probably 90 to 100 million.
Ouch.
Somewhere around there. Just in contractual negotiations, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time,
yeah,
you know, you fall short of 50, 60 million, that's even good too.
Sure.
That's life-changing, you know?
Yeah.
But instead, you know, I got life-changing, a whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
And it was adversity, and it was family. I can remember, you know, I had just got engaged to my kid's mother. And crazy because we never talked about that, you know, like I'm thinking like this shit's behind me.
Right.
You know, it's behind me, you know.
It wasn't a thing.
And then all of a sudden, you know, she gets engaged to this guy and he gets indicted for a drug. Basically, you know, just like I said, man, it's just life took a whole turn, you know, after that. Just didn't know why, you know, what happened. And basically just guilty by association, guilty by neighborhood I grew up in. Grew up, you know, just the culture and this, that, and the other. Just listening to the prosecutor talk about the words and things that I was saying, you know, just how I would respond to certain things and what was in the transcripts and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, nah, dude, that doesn't mean that, you know?
Right.
That doesn't mean that. But you said this, but that doesn't mean that, you know?
Right.
You know? And it's just a cultural difference or whatever. But, you know, if you didn't grow up in the hood or around that type of atmosphere or whatever, you just won't know. And you just take it in a whole different light and think that it is what it is. But that's why, you know, I'm writing a book, you know, written a book just to kind of tell my side of the story versus what they might have seen on the news or ESPN or, you know, even lately, you know, since the news broke out. Like it's like a phone count. I was setting up a drug deal. Like I didn't set up anything. Like the government set up the drug deal.
Sure.
I was just part of it and a part of their scheme to put something together to heighten their careers. And that's where, you know, like I said, you see right now, the prosecutor on my case, that was the last case that he prosecuted.
For being a judge.
And now he's a federal judge.
Yeah, the worst thing ever happened to our judicial system. Worst thing was we made them elected officials.
Yeah.
Once they're elected officials, then they only work to polish themselves up.
That's it. That's politics, but that's what it was. And that's why I want to tell my side of the story, because, it's just all BS, and, even though, I was granted a pardon, like, still, I want people to know, like,
Let's talk about that. This just happened 2 weeks now, or 3 weeks.
3, yeah.
Yeah, 3 weeks. You call me up and say, you're not going to believe this. And we had just been talking about kind of what happened and how you got there, and that you can't go buy a firearm, you can't vote, none of those things. And you call me in the evening, you go, I just got pardoned. I'm like, well, I didn't know you were up for a pardon.
Yeah, right.
1. And 2, 45, 47, he's not necessarily your guy.
Right.
But he might be your favorite guy now.
Right.
So let's talk about it. What happened?
I was smoking a cigar, actually, man, just waiting for my son to get finished training. And I get a call from DC. And basically, it ended up being the White House pardon czar, Alice Marie Johnson. And she just was like, hey, this is Alice Marie Johnson. I just got out of a meeting with the president. And first of all, I'm like, who are you and what president are you talking about, really? In my mind.
Right.
Because I'm thinking this is a joke. And she's like, he just signed off on your full pardon. And I was like, what? Like, really? Like, how? Like, I haven't even applied for a pardon. I've been trying to get some attention toward my case so I can get a pardon and just figure out what I need to do.
Which is why you're writing the book.
Yeah, which is why I was writing the book, so I can try to get some attention and tell my story and try to get the attention of the president. And all of a sudden, man, come to find out, this lady, she's been advocating. She said, I've been advocating for you for a while. So, you and 4 other NFL players, I just wanted to do something good for you guys and guys that need a second chance, that have gone on to play a professional career in the NFL, and you got hemmed up and something happened or whatever, and you just deserve just a second chance because you've done way more than what this little setback might have been, And I was just like, wow, like I told her, I said, if I could hug you right now, I would, And she said that she's putting something out on social that night and said we'll see it all the next day. And it carried on for probably 3 or 4 days in the news, just about the pardon and what he had did. And I'm just happy, he was able to look at it and look at everything that she brought to the table and put pen to paper. I tried in past administrations, but it was, $75,000 here, $25,000 there, $10,000 here for just to entertain it and not even guarantee it. But I think it was just God's will, man, and couldn't be nobody but God, actually, and just pushed it through and got it done without even. And everybody still, I got people calling me now, like, who did you apply? And where did you? I'm like, dude, I didn't even apply. Like, I had somebody basically, which was Alice Marie Johnson, basically, put everything in and guided it the whole way. And we didn't even know about it.
That's a God thing.
Right. It's like out of the blue, I appreciate it, man. And it's just like a weight, off your shoulders, weight off your back, as far as just what you've been dealing with. And, like I've owned several businesses, it's hard to get working capital, it's hard to borrow from the banks because once they see convicted felon on your background check, done with. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you are Jamal Lewis. I don't care who you are, period. Just driving around, and cops look at your tag. I got pulled over 4 or 5 times in Buckhead in 1 week just because my tags, and they pulled me up, because I'm riding around with a hat on and got some tint on my windows, and it's just stuff like that, you just can't bear firearms, can't go shoot a gun if you want to, and just certain things, like even renting property or just renting an apartment or whatever, like it's almost like you're a freaking rapist or something, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, it haunts you.
yeah, it just haunts you all the way across. So now got my papers and got everything in the email as far as my pardon papers and everything. So it is what it is. But I still want to tell my story, which I'm happy I was able to tell a little bit of it here on the To Live Well podcast.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And I think the consumer, that people want to hear it,
Yeah.
I think that's a good word. You bring a lot of real life to a little more color to the conversation.
Yeah.
For lack of a better word. It allows people to put the pieces together.
Yeah. Yeah. But one of the things that has probably led me here is depression, being overweight.
Yeah, let's talk about that. And you actually, I asked you the question one time, when did you realize you played your last down NFL?
It was one day when I just woke up, game day, and I remember I had a crazy headache that night trying to sleep. But when I woke up, I was just kind of like out of, like, just sluggish, not myself, and getting ready to go play an NFL game, right, in an away stadium. So that was basically I got knocked out the first game of that season and didn't know I had a concussion or whatever. So I was really playing with it the whole time until this day when I woke up and I was like, something's wrong, or whatever. I just wasn't myself. I asked the doctor, hey, can I get a concussion test? Do you guys got a concussion test, or something, that I can take after? Think about it, this was 2009.
Right.
Right? Not that far, not that far away, but
They weren't really talking about it.
yeah, they weren't really talking about it. Right. Didn't want to talk about it. So that's when I kind of knew that something was wrong. And then I can just remember, man, at halftime, it was like a light bulb just went off. And I just was a whole different person. I was like, let's go, let's go. I was really in my zone then. But after we got done, I went in, got evaluated, and I was on IR that night with post-concussive syndrome because I just, like the doctor said, hey, I'm not worried about you next game or next year. I'm worried about you 20 years from now. Mm-hmm. So that was at the time, it's very scary. You think about your kids, you think about life after, you think about, hey, do I not have long or something, because it's the brain, dementia, you got all this other stuff, CTE they end up coming up with and all this stuff. So, being done, not having the crowd, not having the people cheering for you, not being able to go out and break that long run and get that pat on the back, that and without having that structure, like that causes a lot of mental, bad mental health, and I think I went into a state of depression where I just gained weight, just was eating and chicken wings and sitting at the bar drinking, whatever, and just stacking it on. And to one day, man, I just ended up being 290, close to, I say 295, but teetering around 300 pounds, like not feeling good, health not good, in the hospital, just going down the wrong road, and I think a lot of guys deal with that,
right?
You know, a lot of guys deal with it. Luckily, you know, I was in a drug program when I got in the NFL because I failed a marijuana test, whatever. But I think it was for a reason because I got a chance to talk to people. I got a chance to talk to a therapist. You know, I had to talk to a therapist. So I had one here in Atlanta. I had one in Baltimore. And you had to go talk to them. And it really helped me kind of just be able to talk to people. I have no problem talking to people about my issues, my problems, whatever. Like, but beforehand, I did because I was kind of standoffish and like push you away or whatever, just not trustworthy or whatever. But when I learned, like, talk to people, you know, let it out, I learned that. But I think going through that stage or whatever, you know, it hurt or whatever. But I could talk to people or whatever and deal with it. But at the same time, you got to deal with it. And I think that's when I came in here and, you know, we had conversations or whatever back and forth, you know, whatever about TRT and about these other things, you know, that you can do or whatever. And I think starting on that journey, that kind of helped curve everything. So I went from that downward spiral to up and more energy, better headspace, mental capacity, and just my mental was just sharp. Going to the gym, working out, and then getting results at that. And that really helped kind of just change everything in my dynamic with kids and with life, with business, and everything else just kind of just changed because I was a different person, you know? And that's been probably 6 years now.
Right. Yeah, hormone balance is so very important. I mean, we're not the same as when we're kids. It does drop off as we get older. So, I mean, people can call it cheating if they want, but, you know, I'd rather feel like I did when I was 20 than to feel like I do when I'm 55.
Right. But a lot of people don't know, you know, you think that it's just the way it's supposed to be and, oh, I'm just getting old,
Yeah.
you know, but at the same time, that's just an excuse. Like, you might be getting older, but that don't mean you can't go to the gym. That don't mean you can't, you know, be out there kicking the ball around with your kids or whatever, you know, and I wasn't doing none of that.
How do you choose to age? Like, we're
Yeah.
to age.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, you get to age.
Yeah, right.
How do you choose to age?
I like that. How do you choose to age?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a choice.
Yeah.
So I met you, you're about 295. You're kind of turning into a circle.
Yeah, right. You told me I was soft.
You were.
Yeah.
But it had an effect.
Yeah. I'm like, well, shit, what I need? I need something. Give me something.
Yeah.
Let me do something.
So now you're about 235, 240.
Yeah, 235, 240.
Back to your fighting weight.
Lean, got muscles, and you know, I was a gym junkie, man. I was that guy that was in the gym all the time when I was either growing up or just high school, college, pros. Like,
Your garage.
I lived in the weight room.
Yeah.
And that stopped, you know, and that stopped just because, just mentally and just like, I think depression, you know, set in and had no desire.
Low testosterone will change the way you view the world around you. Low testosterone will take away your drive, not just your sex drive. It will take away that drive just to get up and do something else.
Yeah.
Just to, you know what? I'm tired of being here. I'm going to go over there. I mean, you don't even have that.
Yeah.
You start taking testosterone.
Yeah.
And then going to the gym becomes like brushing your teeth. Like, I just want to go.
I was going 2 days. I was going 2 times a day. Like, just like
getting it in,
like just like really getting it in. And then you start seeing results and it's like, damn, like, okay, there are some abs up under there, you know. I'm not looking like a rhinoceros, you know, walking around here. And then you start hearing people say, oh, you lose some weight. Oh, you look like you looking good. You like you still play, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's like, okay, Yeah, we're tuning right on up, back to where I used to be, and that's where I'm at right now.
Have you tried running some 40s?
Hell no.
And just
No, I don't. I know it does good, but
no, it's really good for you.
I don't think it's gonna work the fast twitch muscles. I can tell you that
Well,
because I do some workouts, but I'm doing some high reps, low weight,
right.
pull up some calisthenics, some spinning. I'm not doing anything that's
With your guy
quick
over there?
release.
Who's your guy? Your trainer?
Oh, Neil?
Neil.
Yeah, Neil. Yeah, he busts you up. And so
Neil.
Neil used to work. We
Get your
train
son,
us.
Neil.
Yeah, he used to train us when I was playing. Just like lift. I didn't lift a whole lot though when I was playing. Did a lot of running, but at the same time, he busts you up. He takes pride in seeing you walk out, swole up. But
Yeah, see, he's trying to
trying
tempt me to
get
get in
you.
there.
Yeah, you gotta come over there, man.
I just know what he's trying to do, though.
Just come on over there, man. Look, you got to go through it. You got to go through it. So we go down to Key West. You know what I'm saying?
I thought about it this morning.
You thought about it?
Yeah. Well, I'm a lot closer now than I was.
All right. You got to just meet me over there.
I think this is a good little cast here. I think people got a lot of good information from it. I was thinking about stuff I was going to add to podcasts. And what is your favorite sporting event? Now, don't say Super Bowl because you played. And you played in it and you won one. So we're not, other than football, if it's not football, what is your favorite sporting event?
Track. Yeah. I ran track.
I know, but I'm talking about to watch. I'm talking about viewership.
Oh, to watch.
Yeah.
Man, I think right now, like,
the track and field in the Summer Olympics is pretty.
Yeah, but I like to watch women's basketball. Like, I'm talking about March Madness women's basketball though. Championship.
Yeah.
Women's basketball.
That's entertaining.
Yeah, I like watching that. Other than that, I don't watch basketball. I don't watch baseball. I don't really watch football. But I think that if it's on, I'll watch the girls play in those times of the year.
I think men's college basketball as well.
Yeah,
I think the NBA's kind of made some mistakes along the way, kind of ruined the product, in my opinion. But that's just one podcaster's take.
Yeah. I don't know. Just a little basketball, but since they got gambling and all this stuff out now, man. It's I think we'll take on a sponsor though, FanDuel's or Bet somebody, whoever.
Yeah,
right?
bring them.
Yeah, I think we'll do that.
Speaking of sponsorships, there was an NBA event that was getting ready to happen here in town. The Atlanta Hawks were bringing in Madbo City.
Dude, that
the Magic.
I know they need fans. They need fans. They need people to come in there, whatever. But man,
they already had those fans. Those aren't the fans they need.
You're right, though.
They,
you know what? You're right. You bring some logic to it.
They need the suburbs to come in downtown. They didn't need.
They got to do what the Braves did.
Yeah.
Like, you got to make access. It's the access. People don't want to come downtown. Like, where are you going to go before? Where are you going before? Like here in the Battery, you can go to certain restaurants. You can hang out. You can do. Somebody could pop up live band concert, whatever. You can get down here 6 hours before the game.
Mm-hmm.
But like going to the city, it's just different. But
no, it's difficult.
But man, the lemon pepper wing thing, the hoodies, and just the T.I. performance had, like, they really had people hyped up.
This sweatshirt sold out.
I wish we could have sold those sweatshirts. Now they tickets sold, sweatshirts on back order.
They can't get them.
I know.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
You would have to go into the game, and you could have bought them at the stadium. But
right, and the wings.
Yeah, but
both flavors. What is both flavors? I know lemon pepper. What's the other one?
I would just probably say buffalo, but I don't know because I've never been there.
We should order some on Postmates.
Postmate Magic City wings delivered.
You can order them. You didn't know that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Well, maybe on the next podcast.
You can order them late night. You go in there, it'll say Magic City wings.
What other NFL player have you been to Magic City with? Can we get him on the cast and order the wings?
Man, I've been to a lot, bro. A lot.
Folks, My pleasure. Jamal Lewis, we thank you. And
Absolutely.
let's kind of give a teaser of what's coming. Who have we talked to anybody about being on the show?
We tried to get some folks on here. I know we wanted to get Nate Newton on here
Yeah.
to talk about the deal and Travis Henry, my old college homeboy. But we got some some interesting folks in the pipeline, I think, you know.
Yeah, the Nate Newton, Travis Henry thing, for those of you that don't know, they were also pardoned on the same.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing. But I think, you know, having some entertainers on here, some of the city's finest or out of the city,
Right.
some executives, you know, that are influential in the space, that are doing good things that people probably wouldn't know, but will be interested to know.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
just some local leaders, you know, around here that can give their advice and just what they're doing to live well, some influencers and stuff like that.
Cool.
So yeah,
A lot of good stuff on tap, folks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Peace.